Ethical Leadership Values Integrity and Responsibility by Michael Brown, Linda Trevino, and David Harrison. Have you ever seen a leader achieve impressive results while quietly damaging everything underneath? Targets are met, profits rise, performance looks strong, and from the outside it appears successful. But inside the organization, trust is weakening, morale is falling, people are becoming fearful, corners are being cut, standards are quietly slipping, because success without ethics is often success on borrowed time. It may look stable today, but eventually the hidden cracks begin to show. This is where many leaders make a dangerous mistake. They assume leadership is only about results, only about productivity, only about winning. But leadership without values can become manipulation. Leadership without integrity can become abuse of power. Leadership without responsibility can destroy the very people producing the success. This gave rise to ethical leadership, developed and researched extensively by Michael Brown, Linda Trevino, and David Harrison. This became known as the ethical leadership model, a leadership approach built on one powerful truth: how results are achieved matters just as much as the results themselves. Let's break it down. The core idea: ethical leadership teaches that leaders are not simply decision makers, they are moral examples. They shape standards. They define what behavior becomes acceptable. This means leadership is not only about strategy, delegation, performance control. It is also about values, integrity, fairness, honesty, responsibility, accountability, because people watch leaders closely, not just what they say, but what they tolerate, not just what they announce, but what they reward, and over time teams copy those standards. So what is the impact? Leaders set the ethical temperature of the entire organization, leaders as moral role models. Michael Brown and Linda Trevino explained that ethical leaders function as visible role models. If leaders lie, manipulate, hide information, blame unfairly, reward politics over honesty, employees learn quickly that ethics are optional. But if leaders act fairly, admit mistakes, protect standards, stay consistent under pressure, employees learn that integrity matters. This is powerful. Because culture is rarely built by policy alone, culture is built by observed behavior. So what is the impact? People mirror what leaders normalize: fairness and justice. One of the strongest pillars of ethical leadership is fairness. People ask constantly, am I treated fairly? Are standards equal? Are rewards deserved? Is discipline applied consistently? If leaders show favoritism, ignore misconduct, or apply rules selectively, resentment begins to grow. Trust declines, respect weakens. But when leaders are seen as just, even difficult decisions become easier to accept, because fairness creates legitimacy. So what is the impact? Fairness strengthens respect even when decisions are hard. Responsibility under pressure. It is easy to appear ethical when everything is calm. The true test comes under pressure: financial pressure, time pressure, reputation pressure, competitive pressure. This is where some leaders justify shortcuts. Just this once, hit the target first, we'll fix it later. But ethical leadership asks a different question. What are the long-term consequences of this decision? Because short-term gain achieved through unethical behavior often creates long-term damage: legal issues, brand damage, employee distrust, customer loss, internal fear. Ethical leaders understand that pressure does not excuse principle. So, what is the impact? Responsibility protects long-term sustainability, communication, and transparency. Ethical leaders also communicate with honesty. They do not manipulate through half-truths. They do not deliberately conceal what people need to know. They provide clarity. They explain reasoning. They take accountability when things go wrong. This matters because secrecy breeds suspicion, and suspicion destroys confidence. When leaders communicate transparently, people may not always like the message, but they are more likely to trust the messenger. So, what is the impact? Honest communication builds organizational trust. Why this model matters today? Look at the world today. Corporate scandals, public mistrust, leadership abuse, brand collapses caused by unethical decisions. Modern audiences are watching more closely than ever. Employees leave toxic cultures faster. Customers punish unethical brands publicly. Social media exposes misconduct instantly. This means ethics is no longer optional background behavior. It is now part of leadership survival. So, what is the impact? In modern business, ethics directly affect reputation and retention. Real workplace example. Imagine a sales organization under huge monthly pressure. Targets are aggressive, competition is intense. One manager quietly encourages staff to exaggerate promises to customers just to close deals. Sales rise quickly, bonuses increase, but complaints soon appear, refunds rise, customer trust collapses, staff morale drops because they feel compromised. Now imagine another manager. They insist, no false promises, we sell honestly, even if growth is slower. Progress may look slower at first, but customer loyalty strengthens, staff trust leadership more, brand reputation stays protected. That is ethical leadership in action. Advantages and disadvantages. Advantages: builds high trust, strengthens culture, protects reputation, encourages fairness, reduces toxic behavior, supports long-term sustainability. Disadvantages: can slow short-term decisions, may limit aggressive quick wins, requires strong consistency, can be challenging in high-pressure environments. Unethical cultures may resist it where you see this today. Ethical leadership is highly relevant in corporate governance, HR leadership, compliance. Cultures, trust, rebuilding values, driven brands, public service leadership. Anywhere long-term credibility matters more than short-term gain, ethical leadership becomes critical. So, what is the impact? Integrity protects what performance alone cannot. Key insight. Linda Trevino and her colleagues taught us something deeply important. A leader is not only judged by what they achieve, but by what they allow, reward, and tolerate along the way. Because teams eventually become a reflection of the standards above them. And when ethics disappear at the top, damage spreads quietly below. So the real leadership question becomes, are your results being built on trust or built at the expense of it? Because one creates temporary success, the other creates lasting respect. So ask yourself, would your people describe your leadership as effective and ethical? Take a moment, pause and reflect. Grab a pen, pencil it down. One standard you refuse to compromise even under pressure, because ethical leadership begins where convenient shortcuts end. I hope this brought value to you, and I'm wishing you abundant success. Take a moment, pause for thought. What would you like to learn and explore next?